Hey there guys, and welcome to another Minecraft pixel art video. Today I got a time-lapse build of Chihiro and Kohaku from one of my favorite Japanese films, Spirited Away. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I've been very busy around the holidays, and hopefully production will resume in full now in the coming weeks. Alright, so I got a lot to talk about while you guys watch this build, but first let me address what's happening with my YouTube channel in the coming months. I'm going to be very busy with personal things, but I have a ton of videos lined up, and those include finishing my Dead Space Let's Play, posting the full Resident Evil 6 Let's Play that I have ready, and finishing up some new Borderlands 2 videos and stuff from the most recent Headhunter DLC. However, since I have these videos all ready to go, you probably won't notice too much in the interruption of videos being put out. After Resident Evil 6, I have a few games in mind that I'd like to do, such as Surgeon Simulator, maybe some Hearthstone, this game called FTL, or some Starbound. But I'd also like to hear your recommendations as well, so let me know in the comments. The next thing I want to do is give a few shoutouts. If you've seen my other pixel art videos, you know that this is actually the first video that is shot from a third-person perspective. For that, I want to thank my friend Apex who let me borrow his Minecraft account just so I could record this video. The other person I want to give a shout out to is a very special friend of mine, Amber, who contributed in many ways to the making of this video. I hadn't actually done any pixel art in a while, and the last time I did one was in the summer, I believe, but playing Minecraft with her got me back into it, and I'm really glad she asked me. We've made some really amazing pixel artwork together, and especially considering this is like the third build I think she's ever worked on, she's really talented and much better at this than I will probably ever be. That being said, she also helped me out just for a bit in this video. However, you might notice that later on there is a slight section of this build that is missing or cut out from the video. And unfortunately what happened there is the footage actually got corrupted, and that actually happened to be the few hours that she was helping me out, so sorry Amber, but I'm sure you'll be in the next video. So that ties up the announcements and thank yous, and I usually end up by telling a story or something about my life or experience that I've had. However, I kind of want to change things up and get a little bit more serious and talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. And that's kind of the subject of regret. And one of the main reasons I actually want to talk about this is because it's kind of fitting, especially around New Year's, and when I recorded this, New Year's was about to arrive. You know, most people make New Year's resolutions, and in some way they usually involve living with as much regret as they did over the last year. Maybe they regret not working out as much over the last year, or they regret not having quit smoking, but it's usually something like that. So I think regret can be a very tricky emotion. It's very simple to understand, but difficult to control effectively throughout the rest of your life. To me, regret is caused when you have made a decision, either consciously or subconsciously, that you really wish you could go back and change, or feel like you have missed an opportunity. That constant weighing or feeling of what if, or how would my life be different, is what defines regret. It's one of those feelings that can corrupt your very soul and mind if you choose to dwell on it, much like guilt, heartbreak, jealousy, or greed, or anything like that, and it turns you almost into another person entirely. The tricky part is trying to master this emotion that everybody at some time in their life will experience. The problem is that most situations don't usually involve very cut and dry decisions, and most of the time you're being influenced by your personal emotional state or external influences. Maybe a better way to understand it is to imagine you at a crossroad in a thick forest. The path you're walking on represents your life, and it leads to two possible ways at first. This represents your decision, either A or B. Maybe decisions you make every day, maybe a very difficult decision such as a breakup. It sounds simple at first, you just weigh the positives and the negatives and then you decide. But it's never that easy. We are emotional creatures by habit, so we gotta introduce some other elements. Let's introduce the feeling of uncertainty or being scared, and this could be represented by it being dark and foggy out, so you can no longer see the end of each path and where it goes. You can only see a few feet in front of you. Now there also might be somebody traveling with you along this path who is influencing your decision. And this could represent a friend, a family member, or a lover, but it just represents somebody you care about in general and whose advice you might take. So now you're battling your own input and other people's input. And as you start to think about it over and over, your mind starts to get confused about which path is the right one, and suddenly there are other options that begin to sprout up that weren't originally there. You might start justifying making a decision that might not be the best for you, but might make you feel good or do something for you just at that moment. So now let's say there's like 20 different ways you can go, and you finally decide to pick one of these ways. But as you begin to travel, what's really stopping you from trying to cross over from one path to the other if you suddenly dislike the way you're going? And that's why it kind of gets tricky, because there are no rules here. You might start to second guess your decision, and that's when regret can fill your mind. You start to say things and swear to yourself that you would do anything to go back and change your decision, and this is when it can eat you alive. And I know this is a very deep analogy or serious conversation for such a simple emotion and for a Minecraft video, but it's actually something I've been struggling with recently and I want to talk about. It's not always as simple as saying live without regret or YOLO. So after thinking about this for a while, what I think the best thing you can do for yourself is when you make a decision, just stick with it for a while. Don't immediately regret what you've done and try to go back and change things, because usually it will only make things worse. Trust me, I know. Stick with your decision, and when you're in a better state of mind, emotionally sound, or far enough removed that you can make an analytical decision about what you did, and then you can ask yourself if you think what you did was for the best. After all that, even if you think it wasn't the best decision you could have made, don't dwell on it. Remember this, that nobody is always going to be right. Mistakes define us as much as success does, and that's not a bad thing, it's just a part of who we are, each and every one of us. especially if you're able to learn from these mistakes and end up happier than you might have been before. There is no possible way to know how your life would be if you had done something differently in the past, so why let something that we can't control and is not a real tangible thing influence our current state of existing? I guess in the end what I'm trying to say is that looking back with regret is a dangerous game that you can play. Always try and be happy with who you are, as defined by the decisions you make in life, and not by any other way. And who knows, in the end, when the fog clears and the sun rises, you might notice that all the paths might end up at the same spot anyway. That's just a little food for thought over the course of the next year, and I hope every one of you guys is able to be happy in life. That's pretty much it for this Minecraft video, and thanks for watching, guys.